Welcome to Write Books That Sell Now, the podcast helping you write, publish, and market your book faster, better, and smarter. Here are your hosts, working hard and having fun doing it, Candice L. Davis, Anita Henderson, and Carol Dunlop.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Write Books That Sell Now, the podcast that, as always, brings you real insight into the real world of being a successful self-published author. Now, if you are watching this, you realize that we actually have done something new. This is actually our first video podcast, so we welcome all of you who are watching on video. For those listening on iTunes and Stitcher and others, you can certainly find the live video, well, not live, but the video podcast version of the Write Books That Sell Now podcast on writebooksthatsellnow.com. Just click on that podcast link at the top and you will see us. I am Anita Henderson, one-third of the dynamic trio that is the Write Books That Sell Now team. Of course, I am joined by my partners in success, Carol Dunlop and Candice L. Davis. Hey, ladies.
Hey, how's it going?
What's going on? Well, it's going great. How do we feel about doing this video thing?
Excited.
Excited. Carol, yeah. I know you're super excited.
I'm super duper excited because we are moving into the, what is this, the 22nd century or 21st century? Whatever century it is, we're moving into it because video is hot, 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 baby.
Video is hot. And you know what? We're going to talk about video, among other things, as a marketing strategy. But certainly we're going to talk to you today on this episode about 3 ways to choose, or 3 steps, kind of, to choose the best marketing strategy to use for your book, okay? There are a multitude of different strategies, so we're going to help you figure out how to choose which one works best for you. We're also going to share some information about our upcoming Book Marketing Mega Summit, which is going to be awesome, right, ladies?
Of course.
Yeah.
We're going to have 15 presenters during a 1-week span, and they're going to be sharing their marketing and branding and business building expertise. And just to let you know, here's a quick insider secret for those of you who are smart enough to even be listening or watching this podcast, is that you get in absolutely free if you're one of the early registrants. But you got to get in early to get in free. That's a lot of juicy information you get for absolutely free. And that's the Book Marketing Mega Summit. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But first, before we get into all of these how-to strategies and all of that information about the Mega Summit, we want to find out what's on Carol's mind.
What's up, Carol?
Hey. Oh, I'm so happy about this whole thing. Well, what's on my mind is us doing this awesome video version of our podcast. So now we have a video podcast, and we're also still going to have the audio part of it, and everything's going to be the same except we now get to grace you with our beautiful likenesses. And you can find it on the same place. If you go to writebooksthatsellnow.com/thepodcast, you will just click on the podcast version, and the video and the audio and the other information will be there. But what's on my mind for today is video. Why do we even do this thing? Well, let me give you some stats about video and user interaction. Okay, 90% of users say that product videos are helpful in the decision-making process. 75% of online video viewers have interacted with an online video ad this month. 92% of mobile video consumers share videos with others. 1/3 of all online activity is spent watching video. 36% of online consumers trust video ads. And 80% of users recall a video ad they viewed in the past 30 days. So with all those stats, all that information about video, you know, Facebook Live just rolled out, and they are pushing everything that they have toward video. So if you are on Facebook and you want to do a Facebook Live, which you can now do it on Mac or Android devices, and you want to talk to your group, do a Facebook Live on your page, or even just do it from your profile, go for it. Because the other thing that Facebook is doing is they are kind of tweaking their algorithms. You know how everybody says organic reach is dead, nobody's seeing my stuff. Well, they're putting everything they have into bumping all that up. So if you've got a video going on, especially if you're doing Facebook Live streaming, boom, it's going to head straight to the top. And everybody that you are friends with that follows you is going to be able to see that video. So we said, hey, why not get on the bandwagon and do that very thing? So we put some things together, and boom, here we are. So that's what's on my mind today.
That's awesome, Carol. Anita, I can't hear you. I think you're on mute. There you are.
Girl, that's a lot. That's a challenge. You throw down the gauntlet for everybody who's watching and listening. And you have sort of helped Candice and me step up our game.
Basically. So wait a minute, Anita. We have done video before because our free video training series, we all stepped up to the plate and did our videos for that.
We did.
That's a whole other story, y'all. Late.
As a matter of fact, if you guys tune into the summit, we're going to have more of that story to share with you.
We sure
do. And boy, will you get it. All right, everybody. So we're going to talk in this episode about 3 steps to choose the best strategy to market your book, right? So again, I mentioned earlier that there's a lot of different strategies you could choose, and it can really kind of be confusing to know how to figure out which one is the best for you. And we like this topic because it really does reflect on so much of what we're going to be sharing in the week-long Book Marketing Mega Summit. We're going to have 15 experts. They are phenomenal. They're dynamic, and we'll actually introduce you to 4 of them on this episode. But they are all sharing some totally out-of-the-box, amazing strategies to market your book, things you probably haven't thought of. And for those of you who will attend the Book Marketing Mega Summit, and you absolutely should, you'll probably get through all of that and go, that was awesome. Now how do I decide which ones to choose? We're going to help you figure out how to do that on this episode of the Write Books That Sell Now podcast. We're going to start off, Candice. What's the first step in this whole process to choosing which marketing strategy to use?
Well, we want to talk about 3 steps, 3 things you want to examine. So you want to know your audience. You want to know your topic, what's your book actually about, and you want to know yourself. What kinds of strategies are going to work best for you, because what works best for Carol does not necessarily work best for Candice.
True.
So we're going to start with Carol. Carol, do you want to talk about knowing your audience?
Yes, I sure will. So that is number 1. And we actually address it in our online course about you have to know who you're targeting out there. So you have to know who your audience. You have to know what they want, like who they are. Have you created an avatar for them? Do you know, like, what coffee they like to drink? I mean, we need to get as specific as that type of thing. Because to me, what coffee they drink, it really matters.
It's very telling, because if you go to Starbucks, you may be one kind of person, but if you despise Starbucks and only drink coffee at home, you may be in a different place.
That's true.
That is so true. So you got to know that. You got to know what are they looking for from you? Like, what do they want to hear from you? What do they think that you could enhance them with? So if you know those types of things, it will actually help you when you're getting the book written, or if you've already written the book, knowing how to market it to that particular group.
And that's those pain points, right, Carol? That's the pain points. That's where they're struggling with, you know. And you talked about this before. Kind of that what's keeping them up at 2 o'clock in the morning is probably not, gee, I need another book to read.
What? Why not?
I know. We love books.
Yeah, you and I are the only ones who do that. Okay. It is actually a solution. They need a solution to whatever their problem is. And as an author and an entrepreneur or professional, you should know what that pain point is that people are struggling with. It's that thing that keeps them up at night. And you should know them well enough to know that that's where they're hurting, that's what they need, and that obviously you and your book have the solution for them.
Exactly. And until you know that, and it can't just be like, what does your audience want? My audience wants clarity. What does that mean? They want clarity. They want clarity in what? And you know, if they're waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm sure they're not going like, oh, I just need clarity in my life. I mean, that is not going to help them. So it's
specific, right? We have to be specific in knowing what our audience
targeted. Yeah, specific and targeted. So if you get that right, knowing exactly what they want. Let me put it this way. If your audience were to stumble across you, they were just out walking somewhere in the street, and you were standing there and you were talking. You were saying, you know, I help women who do this specific thing and stop this pain. And they said, oh, I need that person over there. And they went running to you. That's how you can tell.
Right.
That's how you can tell that your audience is.
Saying whatever you would say on the street, they should say, hey, that's me that you're talking about. And, hey, that's the issue I need to resolve. So I want to work with you. I want to read your book.
Okay, you guys, I have to bring up one thing, though. Anita, and I know you understand this, and Carol, from a different perspective, you will too. When you ask your clients, private or otherwise, who their audience is, what is the most common answer you receive?
Everyone.
and it's totally a joke to us because what Candice is, if everyone is your audience, then
no one is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No one is.
Yeah. Unless you're writing a book about water and air. Yeah. Probably not everybody needs.
It's still not everyone.
Right. Exactly. Because what kind of water, right?
Right. Everybody doesn't like water and air, or maybe they don't need it for some reason. Maybe they live in a bubble, you know. Ooh, they don't need water.
The reality is,
specific in terms of knowing who your audience is in order to choose the right book marketing strategy. Because, Carol, as I know you're leading into this, if you don't know who that audience is, you don't know how to reach them. You don't know the messaging, the words, right, to say to them. You don't know if you should be using video to reach them, or would they rather, like Candice and I, read something online.
And people go to everyone because they have what they call FOMO, fear of missing out on a certain audience. So they say they want to sell to everyone, and they're scared that if they target a niche, that they're only going to reach that person and no one else is going to buy their book. But so what? If your niche is one person, there are probably 1 million people like that person.
At least.
Category.
At least one, if not more.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Because think about it. Everyone has a doppelganger, right? You go somewhere, like we live here in Georgia, but you may go to South Carolina, like, child, you look just like so-and-so. Really? I don't even know that person, but they look just like them. So if you think about it in that term, if you got one person that you can clue in on your audience, there's more than one person that's like them. So I love that, Candice.
Absolutely. So so know your audience in terms of messaging, where to find them, right? Even if you're just looking at online, you've got to be thinking about offline marketing strategies also. Where to find them, and if you don't know who they are, you can't discover the answer to the question, where do I find them? You can't determine what do I say to them if you don't know who they are. So you have to be able to use the right terminology, the right words.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you're targeting my mother versus my daughter, you're going to find those people in two very different places. My mom is probably not on Snapchat. I can tell you that.
She might be.
I'm not either. My clients aren't. My clients aren't on Snapchat. Oh, there you go. They actually look at me like, what is Snapchat? I'm like, don't even ask me about that.
Yeah, if you have to ask, forget about it.
Yeah,
move on.
Okay, so what about step number 2? After we know our audience, then what?
Well, what is your book about? What is the topic of your book? Because the topic can really lend itself to some different strategies. So I'll give you an example. I have a client who wrote a book about how her divorce saved her marriage. And it's kind of a personal topic, and people who read her book typically really want personal help with that. So what she did, which I thought was really brilliant, is if your book group bought X number of books, she would either come to your group and talk to your group if you were local, or she would do a Skype. So she would do a Skype session where you could talk to her. She's not a therapist, she's not a counselor, she's a coach. This is all based on her experience and the lessons that she learned. That's what her book is made up of. But it was the perfect topic for a personal connection with people because it's a very, very personal topic. So people were really excited about that, and that went really well for her. On the other hand, I have a client who wrote a book that's largely about natural hair care. And that's a very visual thing, right? Beauty is very visual. So she has been doing not just a podcast tour, but a video podcast tour where she actually appears on people's internet TV shows. And she's interviewed and talks about her book. And she has like amazing hair. Her hair is just like, she actually got a brand new haircut for the launch of her book. She went from one extreme to another just for the launch of her book. It was really like a perfect tie-in based on her subject matter. But that's because of her topic. I'm not suggesting you cut your hair to promote your book. That's because it was a perfect fit for her topic. And so she uses video a lot because it's a super, super visual topic. Right. Now, another client wrote a book about disaster heroes, people who are just ordinary citizens who become heroes in the face of disaster. And she ties her book into current events. You don't realize how many disasters happen almost every day on this earth. Wow. So we hear about the huge ones like the Haiti earthquake and the nuclear meltdown in Japan a few years ago. But some of them we don't really even hear about, right? So if it's a small local disaster where maybe 10 houses got destroyed by a hurricane, she can still tie that in and contact the local media as an expert and get quoted. And, of course, they always quote her as author of.
Right.
So
it's a good point in terms of topic and tie it into the media.
Exactly.
Those kinds of things are very media specific, right? Those
exactly.
Media, I hate to say it, loves drama, right? If it leads, they love disaster.
Say that again, Anita. What was your quote?
What's that?
You said if it what?
If it bleeds, it leads.
There it is.
That is like a long-time PR thing that we all know. And so disasters are dramatic. They're visual usually, and that's what the media is looking for, whether it is TV broadcast, it could be photography for a newspaper or magazine. They're looking for action and visuals. And so because she knows her topic, she knows her audience, then I think she's done a great job in terms of utilizing the media to the broadcast news media to get the word out about her focus, her topic. So that's a good idea.
Yeah, and she also stays media ready. So she always has her pitch ready. She doesn't have old, out-of-date headshots, which some of us, me, I've had a problem with.
Really?
She's cute as a button. She's as cute as a button, so that plays in her favor. But she has a serious knowledge. She used to be a disaster consultant, and she still does some of that stuff, disaster recovery and preparation. So she's not just coming at this from sort of a lightweight personal experience point of view, although you can do that too. She has serious background in this. So she has a couple of ways she can sell herself. She can sell herself as an expert on the disaster heroes, but she can also sell herself on as an expert on disaster recovery, and she stays media ready. You could call her for an interview right now, and she could pop on and be ready to go.
Amazing. I love that. So, that readiness, I wish we all could say we're so ready.
I'm not, but that's okay. We're working on it.
We are. So we're talking about 3 steps to choose which book marketing strategy to use, right? Again, there's tons of strategies. How do you choose which one? Carol shared that you absolutely need to know your audience. Who are you speaking to? Candice just talked about the fact that you need to know your topic. You need to be very familiar with it, comfortable with it, have your talking points ready. And these all go together, by the way. It's not that you have to have one or the other. You actually need them all. Because even if you're really comfortable with your topic, but you don't know who your audience is, you're not going to have the messaging about your topic to reach your audience. The third step that you need to know is yourself. You absolutely need to know yourself. So what does that mean exactly? Well, you've got to know what you're capable of, okay, from a book marketing perspective. You have to know what your resources are, right? Human resources, dollar resources. You've got to know what's available to you in terms of help, right? Because, again, we'll always tell you you really shouldn't try to do everything on your own. And you have to know what you feel comfortable with. So Carol talked about the video thing, right? I'm probably not going to choose video.
This is so funny because for those of you who don't know, Anita used to have her own online TV show. So I'm not sure
right?
why she won't choose
Like,
video.
what?
She's very
That
good
would be
at
my
it.
first choice. It absolutely would not be, except if I knew that my audience was on video, that they were very interested in video. For example, if I knew that my audience is all over Periscope, they love it, they watch it all the time, or Blab, whatever the thing is Carol talked about. Even if I didn't want to do it and I knew that I was uncomfortable with that, I would have to find a way to do it to make me comfortable. Either that I'm in front of the camera talking, or that I would hire someone smart and capable like a Carol to make a video for me so that I don't have to sit in front of the camera and talk. So you really have to know yourself. You have to know what you're comfortable with. You have to know what your resources are. You have to be realistic about your own time availability. How much time do you have even to be, for example, posting on Facebook? Do you have the time to create those posts? If not, either don't do Facebook or do a different social network or find somebody to do it for you. So,
Exactly.
yeah, knowing yourself is really, really important. You got to be realistic with what am I comfortable with, what knowledge do I have about different marketing strategies, again, budget-wise, resources, do I have the money to do certain things? Of course, a lot of the marketing strategies you might choose could very well be zero cost. And a lot of the stuff that that our phenomenal presenters will talk about on the Book Marketing Mega Summit is zero cost. You know, it's zero cost to you, but it could equal, you know, a lot of zeros down the road. You know, the comma 000 dollars for you down the road in terms of revenue and profit. But if there is something that does cost some money, and for example, if you have to pay someone, you got to look at your budget and determine, do I have the budget for this? So that's the self that you have to know. That's knowing yourself. But I do believe, as we've said, it all starts with knowing your audience. You got to know what your topic is. So all that's messaging and who to send it to. And then you got to know yourself in terms of what you're comfortable with and what you're capable of. So
Yeah, I talk to a lot of people who think that they have to go on the speaking circuit in order to promote their book, but they don't like speaking. They don't like traveling.
Right.
They don't want to leave home, but they're terrified that they're going to have to go on the speaking circuit, promote their book. But that's not the only way to promote your book. It may not even be the most effective way.
Right. True. I agree. Some people are definitely afraid to speak in public. And if that's not your topic, and if that's not where you think you'll find your audience, then don't worry about it. Relax. You don't have to get the, you know, the 20-minute presentation done. You don't have to, you know, do all of that stuff. If it doesn't fit with your audience and your topic and your capability, don't do it. Don't force yourself to do something that you don't feel fits with these 3 steps: audience, topic, and yourself, your comfort level. Don't do it.
But you do have to do something. Someone, I won't even say who because it's someone near and dear to me, but they said to me, I was talking about a book that I'm working on, and I was saying, oh, I need to start thinking about the marketing. And this lovely person said, well, I mean, if you build it, they will come, right?
Wow. Wrong.
Nope.
Are
you serious?
That happens in movies sometimes.
Yeah. That will not happen, because people used to say that about websites. You know, if you build it, they will come. But what happens now, if you build a website and don't do anything with it, it just sits out there in cyberspace gathering cyber dust. So nothing's going to happen with it.
Thousands of books are published every single day with self-publishing.
Right.
So even before self-publishing, just publishing a book didn't mean people were going to discover it and buy it. Still have to choose some marketing strategies.
Yeah. If you believe if you build it, they will come. If you believe that to be true, think about your business. When you started your business, just because you started your business, you didn't just suddenly have customers and clients just because you started. You had to tell somebody. You had to offer someone something. You had to have your packaging and your pricing together. You had to put it out there and let people know it was available. It's not magic. You do have to do something. And in order to determine what to do, we suggest you follow the 3 steps we're talking about on the Write Books That Sell Now podcast today. And then we suggest you just mark your calendar right now for July 25th through the 29th so that you can participate and take part in the Book Marketing Mega Summit. It is going to be phenomenal. Just take our word for it. Again, we've got 15 dynamic book marketing and business branding strategists who are dropping some serious information about how to market your book outside of the box, outside of the typical stuff you've heard of, and really giving you some actionable steps. These folks are not tiptoeing around it. We're not chit-chatting with them. They are teaching you real strategies, hands-on stuff that you can do. There's a lot involved and included in this Book Marketing Mega Summit. And we want to just introduce you to a couple of those presenters right now. So, Carol, who's in our lineup?
Okay, y'all are going to be so, I'm excited about the whole thing. But specifically, we have Clark Garrison. He is a dynamic speaker, acclaimed author, popular radio personality, and founder of the Survival Radio Network, one of the fastest growing online talk radio networks around. In 2012, he founded the Survival Radio Network with the aim at providing top-notch programming that will inspire, motivate, and educate listeners worldwide. Currently, the station has over 1.5 million downloads and carries 34 shows with diverse genres. Clark's focus is to provide platforms for excellence. And his topic is going to be using online radio, podcasting, and blogging to increase your reach and book sales. It's going to be fabulous. And you guys are going to love Clark because he's really down home. We loved interviewing him. It was totally amazing. He had some of the most diverse information that I've ever seen anybody talk about podcasting, how he got started, how he wrote his book. It was the start of everything, and how he has, like I said, he gets 1.5 million downloads off a podcast.
I love that. I mean, who better to learn from with regard to that? He even talked about some of the technology he used and how he got the thing started, and yes, he even talked about how he has to market it as well. So he really dropped some great knowledge, and I think you all are going to really love listening to Clark Garrison.
Yeah, one of the things I loved about his talk is that he didn't come at this as, some businessman making 6-7 figures a year at the time when he started this. He started, like a lot of us start, without a lot of money to invest. And he was still able to start it and build it into something really great, and which not only helped his book sales, but helped him create other streams of income as well.
Yeah. And the main thing about him is he didn't know how to write a book. He didn't know how to do a podcast. He definitely didn't know how to do a radio show. He didn't even start out as the host of the radio show that he did. He was like cowering in the corner, and they said, all you got to do is go on and we'll interview you. And then, okay, I'm not going to tell you anymore. But
you know what he did? He did know his audience. He knew his topic, and he knew himself. So
there you go. Y'all gonna have to tune in to find out the rest of it. But I promise you're gonna love it.
It's awesome.
Who's up next, Candice?
Well, I want to tell you about Terry Hadaway. Terry is the founder of a company called My Thinking Box. He's a certified instructional designer with a PhD in adult education. Blah, blah, blah for that kind of stuff, right? A lot of times online we forget about the fact that degrees can give you some knowledge too. He has a PhD in adult education. He knows how adults learn. And he has used that resource that he has, that body of knowledge, to create educational resources and online courses for people that a lot of us already know, like, trust, and follow, like Michael Hyatt, Dan Miller, Max Lucado, John Maxwell, and others. And if you don't know who those people are, you should look those people up because they're all really awesome. And I actually had the pleasure of meeting Terry at an event where he was one of the speakers, and I was so impressed by the information that he shared that I knew I wanted to invite him to be on the Book Marketing Mega Summit and to just hang out with us because he is super knowledgeable. He brings to the online course creation arena something that not a lot of people bring, which is that he actually has deep, in-depth knowledge about how we adults learn, and it's not necessarily the same as little kids.
I guess I wasn't really surprised, but it was good to hear him say what he said about how adults learn and how you can use that knowledge when you are creating courses based on the the content in your book and the best way to deliver that content to your audiences. Terry was awesome.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
He was great, and the thing that I really liked about him, that he is online, he teaches online, he knows a lot of online people that he's actually worked with, and he's older. I mean, you know, you just don't see, you hear about the millennials all the time. Millennials this, millennials that. Don't have anything against millennials, because I have a couple of millennials that I birthed, and my grandkids are getting up into being millennials. But I mean, he was just a wealth of knowledge about what he talked about, and he was right on the cutting edge of what's going on now. So don't think you just wrote your book, you don't know how to market it because you're older. Get out of here with that stuff. I mean, hey, we got something for you. He was
also,
awesome.
Carol, he also shared some specific strategies to make it simple to create an online course. Not a lot of technology to buy, not a lot of money to spend, not a lot of software to learn. So that's well worth tuning in for.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was great.
Thanks for listening. Find out more about becoming an author and making the most of your book at writebooks.sellnow.com.